Well, good evening, everyone. Hey, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. It's Linda Anderson from Linda Lou Creates here, and thanks for joining me tonight. And I wanted to share these 4 cards. Believe it or not, yes, there's 4. And normally I do 2, at most 3, 4. You can tell I had some days off of work, right? So anyway, I have a little bit of a story to tell you regarding these. So let me just point out a few things, get going, and tell you my story along the way. So the stamp bundle that I am featuring is this Bottled Happiness. I'll be honest with you, this was not one of my first picks out of the annual catalog, but anyway, I ended up getting it anyway, so. And then this is sort of like its partner set, coordinating set, Vintage Christmas, and it's out of the mini catalog. So I'm going to pull in my Stamparatus in order to do these things as well, and just kind of give you the lowdown on these cards. Let me get started with this one. This was the one that kind of I had the first idea was for this one. So I went ahead and used different colors then for all of the cards except for the one. This is Highland Heather for the flowers, Mint Macaron for the leaves. So therefore, card base, Mint Macaron, Highland Heather. The bottle that I got out of that Vintage Christmas stamp set is all of them. They are stamped in the crumb cake. All right, so here we go. What I did was, let me pull it in. I'm going to be using some different colors, but first, just to kind of give you what I did and then kind of how the rest of these cards came about. So if I can just, grab my Stamparatus. It was kind of out of my way. So, stamp positioning tool, any that you have, you don't have to use it with this stamp set, but I found it to work really, really well because for the sake of the video, I know that there are multiple places that I could put this down into. You have these hinges. Just for the sake of the video, I have them on 2 separate plates, and anyway, just go with it. So I have my flowers here. For this card, let me tell you a little bit about it before we keep going. I used this Fabulous Frames die set. So I used the large frame. Now, the die itself, the frame itself rather, measures 5 by 3 3/4. So I'm like, I want the white that I'm going to stamp my flowers on to be ever so slightly smaller than that. So honestly, it is 1/8 of an inch smaller. So that means that this is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. All right. So I cut then a bunch of panels, measured of that with that measurement, and just stamped all kinds of flowers and leaves, and then created cards with them. So that's kind of how these came about. They didn't all stay this size. I did cut them down, die cut them out, things like that. But this is what I started with and then just went to town. So like here, I used Daffodil Delight and Pear Pizzazz. This one is kind of a little different. It is Calypso Coral, and the leaves are Night of Navy. And one more here. This is Rich Razzleberry and Evening Evergreen. So, like I said, I just got to stamping and having fun with it. So, I'm not going to use this one on the card, but I just wanted to show you, for example, that here I have some Flirty Flamingo. So, the sweet thing about the stamp positioning tool is you can keep stamping without, if you don't move it in there, you can just stamp multiple times until you get the coverage that you want. So that's twice. I think I'm going to go one more time here. All right. And I think I must have a hair. You can tell I have a cat because I do get hairs a lot on my things. So, yep, there it is. There's that cat hair. And it showed up then on this. But whatever on that, I'm just showing you. What's nice then is, now you could do this with an acrylic block. Make sure your ink pad is juicy enough that you can get a good impression the first time. Also, then doing the second layer, you can definitely line it up with the acrylic block. I just find that using my Stamparatus, then I am pretty much guaranteed always getting great results. The only problem would be is if this were to shift at all along the way. So hang on one second. There we go. Now my green here is Granny Apple Green. So I just thought I would grab these two colors. And like I said, I have the smear of my cat hair in there, but this is it. Now, this is why I could just mass produce this layer a bunch of times and get all kinds of fun color combinations. All right, so let me just go ahead, set this off to the side, and bring back in the card that we're gonna make. So here it is. Soft Succulent is the green. That's my card base. And it is my top folding. All of them are. So all of them are the 11 by 4 1/4 scored at the 5 1/2. I have multiples of the frames. I have actually, for the front, I have cut out the frame. This is Pale Papaya 4 times. Fifth time, actually, I cut it so I could put it on the inside. I thought that really kind of brought home that framed aspect of it. So, like I said, my piece of white here is the 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Stamped the flowers in the Pale Papaya, the leaves in the Soft Succulent. So all I'm going to do now is adhere it to my one frame here. I will show you the stamp set then that I used if I didn't take it away already and move it somewhere. But the stamp set that I used for the sentiments on all of the cards. All right, so let's go ahead and get this put down. Do you notice I'm not talking as much because I really want to concentrate? So here then I know that I am hidden because I did, like I said, made that just a smidge smaller. So I'm going to go ahead, adhere this down to my card base. I'm going to bring in then the other pieces and show you what I did there. Now, why this stamp set? Why all these pretty flowers when we're getting close to winter and Christmas and all of that? This is part of my story, is I am making an attempt to organize my stamps and all of my supplies. I'm not very good at organizing. I will definitely be honest with you on that. And I found this stamp set and I'm like, I am embarrassed to say it has never seen ink. So I thought this is the one I'm going to use for tonight. So, all right, like I said, I've cut out the frame 4 times. This is 3 of them glued together. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it glued down now to here. So I will have now 4 layers of frame. You definitely could use dimensionals to pop this up. I thought it would just be fun to have a thicker frame, almost like a picture frame, and then having the whole image popped up. So that is kind of how I was thinking about this. So let me just wiggle this around, which is what I like the liquid glue for. And there we go. Now I have my 4 layers of frame. All right. The bottle, Crumb Cake ink. Like I said, that is what all of them are, and then punched out using that bottle punch, some dimensionals, and now I'm just going to set it down here so that it is right under the flowers. Trying to make it as straight as possible. Sentiment. Let me see. Do I have it here? If you hear some things crashing and falling, don't worry. I'm just, like I said, in the midst of needing to get everything organized so that I don't have that anymore, things falling. So anyway, I love the font of this stamp set, Soft Seedlings, so I used it on all of the cards, almost all of the cards. One of them, I'll show you. So it is going to set on top of the bottle, which is already popped up, the frame, which isn't popped up but is thicker, and it is going to hang out over the bottle. So all I did, I have one dimensional here, and the rest of it then, like I said, I'm going to overlap it. I just put a little bit of glue where it is going to be up against the bottle. So here we go. I pulled in some of the festive pearls and I attached them, as you can see right here. I'm just going to put a couple on for right now, and I will finish it up later, but this way you don't have to watch me because I think there's like 8 of them here. So I'm just going to use the silver ones. I like those. I like the gold. So like I said, I would finish putting the rest of them on, and there is my card. Card number 1 is done. So let me come on back now with my second card. So that I'm going to say is more the summer card. Here we go. I've got now a fall card. Look how just by changing up the colors and using paper and such in the fall colors, I can definitely make this look totally different. Once again, I started with the same piece. This time it's very vanilla, but then I cut it down after I had it stamped. So the final measures here of this piece, the very vanilla, is that this is 2.5 by 4. All right, and I'm going to adhere that to a piece of Old Olive because I used Old Olive ink and I used pumpkin pie on my flowers then. So the Old Olive cardstock is 1/4 of an inch bigger, so that means that it's 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Now, if you miss any of these measurements, don't worry. I will have them on my blog, LindaLouCreates.com. And you'll be able to see them all written up there so that you can then make these yourself. You don't, if you have this stamp set, great. If not, not a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bottle down. But yeah, you can definitely use whatever papers, colors that you prefer, stamp sets that you have. All right, so let me go ahead now too and get this done. Then I'll just show you the, so I went with that Rustic Harvest Designer Series paper. This is 2 inches by 5.5. Early Espresso, 2 1/4 by 5.5. So let's go ahead, get this adhered together and then down to the card base, which is my top folding crumb cake is what I'm using here. So really keeping it, let me move some of my stuff here, really keeping it fallish. So there we go. Now I'll go ahead, and this is very much not like me, is to put it straight down to the card base. I'm usually one who, I do love my layers of papers and colors, but this time it is going straight down. So tell me, everybody, how was your Thanksgiving? Our oldest son came on Thursday to eat with us, and then Friday he came back with his girlfriend, and we had I didn't cook. We ordered out for pizza, but it was still a lot of fun then to be together with everybody then. So, all right. So let me go ahead now and get my main image down, and then I will show you what I used. And I did not bring this with me, but I have, it's a double oval punch is what it's called. So it'll get you the oval as well as the scallop layer then as well. The scallop is early espresso, same with my ink, and again coming from that soft seedling stamp set. I am going to put it here so it's going across the bottle and across the flower image layer. So I just have a couple dimensionals there. I will put some glue where it's going to go across the bottle, just like I did with the previous one. And now let's just go ahead and get a couple just to kind of coordinate with this one. I'm going to use now the gold, and I'm just going to put 2 just to be a rebel. And there we go. So card number 2, the fall themed card, complete. What is on the inside? So grateful, and just a couple scraps from that Rustic Harvest designer series paper. All right, so let's get this one. I have another one here that this, now we are progressing from fall, and this time we're going to go into Christmas. And this is where my sentiment, I said that they all came from that soft seedling. This time it came here from the Vintage Christmas, both my Happy Holiday on the front as well as the inside with a very Merry Christmas to you. So I did bring this one in and use it as well. So let's get this. Once again, the layer started out the same measurements, that same 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. Yep, I kept it going with that and then did with it what I wanted to. So this one, I cut down then the white panel once I got it all stamped so that it now measures 2 5/8 by 4 1/4. All right, that means now that my crumb cake this time is only 1/8 of an inch bigger. So that means that it is 2 3/4 by 4 3/8. All right. So again, don't worry about the measurements. I do have them out on my blog. So let's go ahead and get these adhered together. I'll show you the rest of the pieces then. So this is another reason why I like, you know, this ability to move it around, because I do like this, just the smaller amount of matting behind your main image. So that's what makes it nice with the liquid glue, that, you know, I feel better and more confident in doing it that way. Dimensionals are on the back of that. Crumb cake card base. All right. I have, let me just set that off to the side. I have a piece of basic white that's 4 by 5 1/4. On that, I'm going to adhere. I just went and pulled out some of my, the 6 by 6 paper packs that are brights, regals, neutrals, subtles. So I have the Poppy Parade. This one comes out of the brights. So this one measures, let me see, 2 by 5 1/4. Can you tell I'm using my cheat sheet over here and I couldn't find it. So 2 by 5 1/4. And that I am just going to adhere right up against the left side, top to bottom. And then I have, from out of the regals comes the garden green. And that's exactly what I used to stamp here. Poppy Parade and Garden Green are the ink colors that I used there. Now this is 3/4 of an inch wide by 5 1/4 then. All right, so this, I will now go ahead and adhere this smack dab against the red, against the Poppy Parade. And now this will go down to my card base. So I like just adding that, it's not Christmassy designs of paper, but it's the colors, you know, so I like doing it that way too. All right. I'm going to go ahead and set this panel down now too. Then I'm going to do a little something to the bottle just to add another embellishment to it. All right. So let's go ahead and adhere this down. I'm going to go ahead. The sentiment here, the Happy Holidays, let me flip it around so you can see. I stamped it in Poppy Parade, and then I used those stylish shape dies. It's the smallest one, and I was able to get that to cut out just perfectly. So I am going to adhere this to the bottle and try and get it a little more centered. There we go. Now, I am in need of some, here it is, my linen thread. So I'm just going to pull out a length of it, and I am going to start kind of holding on to it up here at the top, but I'm going to wrap starting at the bottom. And what I'm going to do then is, as I'm wrapping it, I'm catching that tail underneath so that I feel like it's a little bit more secure. So I don't know how many times I wrapped around this, and until I was like, okay, that's good. So yeah, that's good. So let me go ahead now. I often use my double-sided tape. This tail, I'm going to go ahead and tape that one down to secure that. Now this piece then that I caught, I'm just going to bring it to the back as well. All right, so here we go. And let me just put another piece of tape on that. Sandwich those two back there. And now, because I do use the double-sided tape, I always like to make sure I put enough dimensionals on this so that none of this sticky ends up going down against my card. So there's the bottle. Let's go ahead and get some dimensionals then. So I will put a few extra, but to me this is not extra. This is my typical amount. But I just, like I said, I want to cover up that double-sided tape then. So, all right, here we go. Now it's time to put this down, and we will almost be done with this one as well, the Christmas card. So by keeping it in your positioning tool, for me, like I said, it's the Stamparatus. I could make 100 of these if I wanted to, because they would always end up being stamped at the right, or at the same place, I guess I should say. So, all right, back to the Festive Pearls. This time I'm going to use the red ones. Technically, I believe these are real red, but I thought they would be fun to put on the flowers then. So I can just put a couple on, and you can see then that it's going to end up then looking like this with all the flowers covered in with the pearls. That is card number 3. All right, the last one is coming up. This time I decided to use some of the in colors, the new in colors. So I just wanted something very bright, happy. And this is where then I came up with the Parakeet Party for the leaves, and then this one happens to be the Tahitian Tide. So not to be outdone, I am going to then, for the one I'm going to demonstrate, this time I'm going to use the Orchid Oasis. But, you know, I couldn't stop there. Here's the same card using the Sweet Sorbet, and here it is with the Starry Sky. So yeah, I did go there. I went and I had to make a sampling using, again, the same green, the same Parakeet Party, but using the other 4 colors then to then make as to be my flowers, and then the glimmer, as well as then the ribbon in it as well. So, all right. This one, again, started out with that 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. And then I took that to my die cut machine and used one of the stitched rectangles. Now this ended up coming out to be approximately 2 5/8 by 4. All right, so it is an approximate, because those ones are not like exact. So, but there's my flower arrangement. I do have my bottle, once again, in crumb cake, and punched out using the bottle punch. So let me just go ahead and get that on. I would if I could see what I'm doing. So let me go ahead, pop that down. All right, I'm going to set this off to the side while I show you the rest of the supplies. This time I used a white card base, the thick Whisper White, what's inside. So Grateful, and then just a piece of leftover DSP. I have the DSP here that measures 4 by 5 1/4. Let's go ahead and get that adhered down. And my hope of doing more Facebook Lives during the day, in the middle of the week, I don't, you know, life just keeps happening. So it's going to have to be, I cannot set a day and time. It's going to have to be whenever I can. So keep that in mind whenever you see it pop up. Make sure you've liked my business page here, and that way you'll get notifications of when I do go live. So this piece of the glimmer paper, the Orchid Oasis, it is, I started 4 inches by 1 1/4. I banner cut down, so it, I did then lose a little bit of length on it, and I am actually going all the way to the edge of the white of the card base. So well, let's go ahead and get this adhered down. I don't know, about here. See how technical that was? Yeah, about here. So let me just make sure it's flush with the right side here of the card base. And now I'm going to bring back in my main image here, and let's get that down with my dimensionals. All right, so here it will go. I do want to kind of plop it over to the right side a little bit, because I do want to make sure that that banner cut of this piece here shows nicely. Again, I used that double oval punch for the sentiment. I do have a dimensional, and I am going to put a little dollop of glue where it's going to overlap the bottle. Okay, so there we go there. Now I decided to be a little different with my embellishments here. I went ahead and tied a bow using the Orchid Oasis metallic woven ribbon. Now I'm going to pop on, I'm actually going to use 2. I know it sounds kind of silly, but this way, if I kind of offset them on either side of the knot, I know you can't really see it. I feel like it just lays flatter for me. So let me just kind of ball it up now too on itself. And I'm going to put it right here on the bottle. And there we go. So now we have the Orchid Oasis version of that same flower, so, or same card. So, all right. Well, tell you what, let me bring in the cards again. I'll try and get them all in here. Now, these are all the sample cards, but as you know, I ended up then doing some with different colors. So like this one, I have a couple different colors on this one. The Christmas card is the same. My fall card, I just used different colors as far as the paper and the ink. Same thing here. What I demoed here then with the using the pale papaya and the soft succulent. There we go. So anyway, lots of cards, lots and lots of fun. So now I can knock these two stamp sets off my list and say that yes, they have seen ink. So well, thank you so much, guys, for joining me. If you have any questions about anything, I'll be happy to help you out. If you want to get supplies and the products that I used and all the measurements, please head over to my blog as soon as I'm done with this video. So give me about 20 minutes. I will get that blog post together with all the measurements, and you'll be able to see it there. So anyway, hey guys, have a great rest of your evening, and I hope I'll see you in the middle of the week coming up here. So with something else that might be fun. So, all right, guys, have a good one. Bye now.